Hi, this is my analysis of article and assessment by yours truly, Mr. Panjabaya. The title of the article is Grades When, Why, What Impact, and How. This is by Ken O'Connor. Um, Ken O'Connor is currently a consultant for the Ontario Ministry of Education, and he has been a curriculum coordinator. His connection to the topic is to help improve communication about student achievement and to provide information relating to grading and reporting as he works with individual schools and district school boards in this area of expertise. A little summary of the article, a little history, is that since 1999, letter grades have been used for grades 1 to 6 and percentages for grades 7 and 12 in Ontario schools. Um, Ontario Ministry of Education has had more of a central direction and have made reports in a way with detailed assessment policy statements. So why are grades important? So there's many purposes of grades, such as to predict future achievements or to recognize good work, but grades are used essentially to give feedback, to motivate students, and to sort students. And what impact can grades have? Many students have turned school into a grading game and not a learning game. So this can either motivate or demotivate students to learn, especially since students can usually look towards those bonus or extra points, and they usually calculate the mark that they need beforehand to get the grade that they want. Um, how are marks um, categorized? It's usually either using a grade system or a percentage. So the relation of the article to the Ministry of Education policy, the primary purpose of assessment and evaluation is to improve student learning. So we've moved from a norm reference to a criterion reference assessment and evaluation. So the article also states that in this era, we are comparing students to preset standards. So students work with references to the four levels of achievement and the achievement charts, and we have placed them into categories of knowledge and skills such as knowledge and understanding, thinking, communication, and application. And this is standard across Ontario rather than comparing students individually or ranking them. And this makes it more fair, reliable, and transparent, and which relates back to the seven fundamental principles. Both the policy and the article overlap for the purpose and the use of assessment. So assessment for learning and as learning. So when we're looking at for learning, teachers provide students with descriptive feedback and coaching for improvement, whereas as learning is to help all the students develop their potential and self-assessment and to help students monitor their own progress, such as having them set goals for marks or assignments. So my personal reflection on this article is that the article made me realize the difference between a grade and a mark score. And usually in Canada, we get use grade and marking interchangeably, where a grade is defined as a letter or a number which is on a report card, and a mark or a score is for any student test or performance, which I learned through this article. Also, if the focus is on learning goals, then it is essential that grades be as pure measures of achievement as possible. So this quote actually made me think where we have usually like penalties for behavior such as handing in assignments late, but technically on the report cards we already assess students for attendance, punctuality, and following rules, and this is listed separately on report cards. But usually when we give assignments to students, we usually dock marks if they hand it in late. So it kind of we have to take both perspectives. Also, assessment of learning, summative assessment versus formative assessment. So especially like in my placement, I learned that we can give formative assessments such as like doing a tableau or a drama skit, and we such as like in an English class or a drama class, and we can give feedback to students to help improve their learning. But and then we can do a summative assessment later on where they've actually taken that feedback and they've incorporated that and to improve their style of learning. And we also, especially like as students in pass or fail courses, we usually, like for me personally, I have more of an educational experience without having any limitations, such as for any marks or anything. I know that okay, I am going to pass this course. Essentially, eventually I will pass this course. So my main focus is more on learning as opposed to the grading system. So the article has related my impact on my teaching practice, especially since it opened my eyes that using median or mode, as opposed to using the mean for determining grades is more important. When we consider mean, we usually have like outliers such as 0 marks or people who have attained bonus marks. So this can throw the mean off a little bit. So this is not an appropriate measure. We should use the median or mode, especially if we're comparing marks amongst the students. And although it sounds hard, it's harder than it sounds, but making schools more focused on learning and not the grades. And we have to set targets for grades, such as expectations as, for example, we have a word wall on the beginning of a chapter. So by the end of the chapter, we should set an expectation for the students that, hey, do I know all the words on the word wall, or do I know all the definitions, or do I know all the terms? And that way, students can be more focused on the learning as opposed to at the end of the unit or the chapter, comparing it to their marks. And we have to align the article mainly states that we have to align the primary purpose of grades with the policies of the article. And thank you for listening. These are my references, and hope you enjoyed listening to my presentation.